Hi Aries, welcome to your February 2016 mid-month general Tarotscope. It's Rena here, and I find these cards very interesting. There may be a lot of movement for you, even though we have some 12th house action, which kind of indicates a bit of an internalizing of the energy and reflection rather than action. Kind of like hibernating right before going into your new solar cycle in March, around the time of the equinox, actually. And so on the 19th, the sun goes into your 12th house. And this is a time to look at things that you may not have wanted to deal with earlier in the year, or maybe stuff that's been going on for longer than that. And Aries is a sign of action. Aries is not a sign of reflection. You know, you guys tend to be rather impatient about having things happen, and this is kind of a house where it's not about imposing your will on the external world, but on being passive, on being meditative. Mercury has recently gone into your 11th house and is now out of its shadow, so things should start to feel a little bit more up to speed. And you may be even communicating more with groups rather than individuals. Maybe your friendships will pick up and you will be talking more to people that you enjoy spending time with. Venus will be going into this house on the 16th. And when Venus goes into your 11th house, this can be great for possibly finding love with someone from your social circle, maybe a friend of a friend, or maybe in a group that you belong to. I used the example before of the 11th house connected to political events. And if you live in America, you might be campaigning for a certain candidate, and who knows, maybe you'll fall in love with a fellow comrade. Mars will be in the 8th all month long, so this is the house of inheritances. Be careful if any of you have been dealing with wills or other people's money in some way, that you do not become combative, that you don't engage, because there could be something that increases your exertion in this area, an emphasis. Jupiter has been and will be in the 6th house until September, and this gives you an added boost for your health, and that's really good too. Especially since we have a full moon in the 6th house on the 22nd of February. And sometimes full moons can indicate things that need to be looked at here, but you may decide to do a detox. This would be a great time for that. Anytime there's a full moon, it's good for that. But in the 6th house, it's kind of like a late winter, early spring cleaning type of an energy for getting rid of bad dietary habits and just your health in general. So that's awesome. As for the cards I picked for you, and remember that this is just going to be for the last couple of weeks of the month, we have the 8 of Swords for your present condition around the time of mid-month. So obviously this is a general reading. Click on the link below if you want a personalized one, but in this case, it would suggest that you are feeling trapped. And some of that feeling of being trapped is done by your own decisions that you've been making and possibly your attitudes. I would say particularly with your thoughts, because it's 8 of Swords. So I picked a card to describe why you're feeling this way, and I got the Temperance card. This can mean different things. Obviously, temperance is about balance. I don't think you're feeling oppression because of balance. I think that there's a lack of balance, and maybe you don't know how to get to that balance. Temperance relates to the sign Sagittarius. So this could be about a relationship with a Sagittarian that is love-hate or somehow feels like you need to get away, but for some reason you can't. It can also relate to any issues around places where you feel lack of balance. Maybe you're trying to get to some kind of place where you're not being extreme and you're having a hard time doing so. So even in the upright position, it just would be suggesting that this is what you want, but you're still feeling like you can't get there. And interestingly, the higher message, which is kind of like the spiritual perspective, is the Wheel of Fortune. So it could just be the run of a cycle. And, again, with 12th house activity, this is the time when it's good to look at these Eight of Swords issues where you feel that you are holding yourself back. And I do feel that sometimes Aries people can become very extreme because you are passionate, you are outspoken, and sometimes you are very driven to do certain things or to feel certain things, and it can get in the way of balance in your life. So on the one hand, I can say that the Eight of Swords indicates that you need to do certain things in order to free yourself from these shackles. But on the other hand, it's also a matter of time playing itself out and going into a new cycle, especially at your solar return. So that's only weeks away. The advice is the Devil card. And, not talking about actual consulting the devil for advice. I'm talking about possibly connected to that 12th house again, because I see that, the Eight of Swords I associate with the 12th house. I also associate the Devil card. It's connected to the sign Capricorn, but I do associate it with the 12th house because it's kind of like these things that keep us from living a self-actualized life. And we might not even be aware of them. And that's what the 12th house is all about. When the sun goes there, it kind of puts a spotlight on the things that are festering beneath the surface. So I would say that the Devil card is just kind of really asking you to reflect on that which no longer serves you and why you're still holding on to it. The card that crosses you is the Five of Wands, and this is a card of conflict. And it's not necessarily the worst of the worst. It can just be bickering, a jousting match of sorts. But with, and it is related to wands, so it's a fiery type of an energy. I would say not just losing your temper, but also the tendency to want to spar in the first place. It may be something that you need to temper, like the Temperance card speaks of, because it's right below the Temperance card. But it's also just one of those unconscious motivations that you may engage in on a regular basis and not even realize how detrimental it is to relationships and your own personal ambitions. I like that the outcome is the Three of Wands because this is a card of a visionary, somebody who is really excited about life as a journey and is contemplating the horizon. It's not a petty card. It's not a card of contraction, but of expansion. And so I think that you are in the early stages of something really great. And I came up with a similar theme for your love reading. And this kind of goes along with that with three major arcana cards. You're really in this great period, I think, of major shifts. And as we go into your birthday month, I think you're in a great place. You still have a few demons to conquer before you get there, but this is the best time to do it. Do a little pre-spring cleaning of your psyche. And Aries, I think you'll be good to go. So I hope you enjoyed this reading and good luck to you for the rest of February. Bye, you guys.